bugs. Nature's funky little guy. And in Pokemon, they're even more funky. Hey, it's me, Ho-Chi. I'm going to keep this really quick with you. We're going to be going over the bug types in Scarlet and Violet. Bug types in Pokemon have been underperformers, if you will. First generation, you had Pinsir. Pinsir was a decent mon in Generation 1. OU, it was niche. It didn't even use Bug Stab. Generation 2 gave us... Well, we had Scizor. He didn't do much. We got Heracross. Heracross was pretty big. Same thing with Generation 3. Heracross was still doing well there. Generation 4 is when Scizor really took off, and it continued to be good. Generation 5 brought in Volcarona and Genesect, which was huge. Gen 6 didn't really have a good bug type. Generation 7 had... I guess they could use Z Crystals for Z moves, which was neat. We had Mega Heracross and Mega Pinsir, so I guess there was something there. But the big two ones were the Ultra Beasts. There was Ferromaza and Buzzswole. Those two were big. Generation 8, we didn't really get much with bug types either. So, bug types, they just don't really exist. Perfect example is, if we go through the list of all the bug types in Scarlet and Violet, there's not a lot. And then you go through dragon types, and then you're like, well, what the heck, man? Why are there so many dragon types? There's more non-legendary dragon types than there are bug types. There's just so many of these dragons. The dragons used to be the rare ones. Generation 1, there was only Dragonite's line. Generation 1 also had Parasect, Beedrill, Venomoth, Butterfree, Pinsir. Like, we had so many bugs, but we didn't have, like, any dragons, and now it's just all dragons. And I partially do blame Game Freak going crazy, but nevertheless, if we go to moves too, there's been huge cuts in bug types move pool. Heal Order is just removed. Another big one is Tail Glow doesn't exist. Big thing is we're supposed to get Volbeat in the DLC, and Volbeat won't have Tail Glow because it's been removed. So say goodbye to BP Tail Glow, or just Volbeat doing anything in PU, And yeah, Bug has some great moves. All of them are status, like Pollen Puff, Rage Powder, U-Turn. It's never really the bug types that are using these that make it the most effective. Sure, Leech Life got buffed, and you can do a lot of damage with Mega Horn, but Mega Horn only has 85 accuracy. So going back to the bug types, if I were to do a brief overview of them, I'd tell you Venomoth may be in the lower tiers. Scyther, not really doing much these days. Fortress was once great, but now is not that great. Scizor is still doing well. I've seen Terra Steel Bullet Punches do well, and it running more of a non-choice band set, which is pretty neat. It's finally getting rid of its thing it's been doing for years, doing something different, slightly different, so it's still the same Scizor. I've not seen hide or hair of Heracross. I mean, it's got a decent stat distribution, but like, not seeing the light of day. Masqueradian, not much. Intimidate's cool, but it's not doing much for it. Kricketune, I still think it's a good sticky web user in lower tiers. Vespiquen, as I just said, it got that nerf, right? It can't keep its flying typing, even though it's not really the biggest deal in the world, because like, what happens with flying? Oh, bug resist ground anyway. It's not much is changing. Volcarona has been one of our only good ones, and I'll go over a brief overview of Volcarona in a bit. But it is pretty good, actually. Pavilion, no. Frostmoth, maybe in snow. You can use Shield Dust, Ice Skills, whatever you want to do. And I saw it on, like, it was the bottom of Double's top usage. Number 150 was Frostmoth. It's Ban Blizzard, I'll tell you that. Kleavor, I've seen the Scarf set. That's pretty much all I've ever seen. It's really slow, and it dies to a lot of, like, common things. And it's bug, yeah, you resist ground, but you're weak to water, to rock, steel, and you're just neutral all around. And Kleavor just doesn't really have the bulk to survive some of the strongest hits. And it's pretty slow with 85. So in doubles, it's not doing that much. Singles, it's been okay. I saw in UU, but things are going to change, and, it might not go so well. Spidops, it really fell off. It used to be like, oh, this is how I use Sticky Web, and then it just, didn't do anything. You want a Sticky Web first turn, which makes first impression useless. Low Kicks was actually pretty nice. was a pretty good Pokemon. It's okay speed. Tinted Lens is a great ability, excellent ability, especially now that it's on a physical Pokemon. You know, that changes a lot of things. Next is Rabsca. That's just, you know the story. Everyone tries to use the Revival Blessing as much as possible. It's not really worth it. Slitherwing, I've not seen much Slitherwing. I'm not an expert in like RU tiers, but Slitherwing I've never really seen used. I fought a couple times in doubles, and it's really weak. Like especially with Tornadus in the meta, you know, bug fighting is quad weak to flying, and you're still weak to psychic, right? So you just get smacked hard. Yes, it has a lot of special defense, but it's frail on the physical side. And when you're in Sun because of photosynthesis, you're also making yourself weaker to fire. So it's not the best thing in the world. So we'll start with Volcarona. I think Volcarona is a great way to talk about what Bug can do. Because, first of all, Volcarona has high special attack, high special defense, and high speed. Really high special attack. Excellent speed tier of 100 that ties with a lot of Pokemon. Big thing about Volcarona is Bug Fire is great offensively. Yeah, and it's defensively, it's weak to obviously water because it's fire typing, flying, rock. It's neutral to a lot of good things like ground, and it resists fighting. So it's got decent amount where you have to like, there's no like safe option that hits both thing, or there's no real safe move type that hits Volcarona normally, and if it terrestrializes into something like water. Now, the thing about water Volcarona is it pairs really well against physical mons through the flame body. For instance, Urshifu normally wants to use Surging Strikes against Volcarona, but if it terras water, then it resists it, and then there's 3 chances for it to burn Urshifu, which will weaken everything besides Surging Strikes because of critical hits. It really hinders Urshifu's options when it does that. For other things it can do, there's not that many things. You think something like Fiery Dance would be cool with a 50% chance to boost, but really all that they've been doing is spam Heat Wave, maybe Bug Buzz, maybe Sub, maybe Protect, you know, as a last move slot, maybe Terra Water. But all in all, what Volcarona has done is it's run Quiver Dance because it is an excellent sweeper. You know, Heat Wave's great. One thing is like if Heatran you want to run Terra Water, because if you face Heatran and it doesn't terrestrialize, you can't really hit Heatran because Heat Wave, it's immune. And then if you're using like Bug Buzz, that's not going to work. So sometimes they don't even run Bug Stab. So even though Volcarona is one of the best bug types, it got banned from OU into Ubers. It still isn't really utilizing the bug typing perfectly. It is a coincidence that it's a bug, and that's really unfortunate. What about something that specializes in bug? So I've been running my doubles team for Regulation D, which involves Murkrow and Fluttermane, and it's a basic, like, Fluttermane does a lot of damage. I have multiple things to support it. It's Life Orb Fluttermane with photosynthesis support because Murkrow knows Sunny Day, and as well as Tailwind support from Murkrow. So Fluttermane can get on the field later and just spam Dazzling Gleam with boosted Terra Fairy. You know, it gets a 30 from Life Orb, 30 from Proto, and then it gets the Terra boost from Terra Fairy, and it can just knock out any neutral threat like crazy. So what do I use on that team, and what was one Pokemon that I ended up going for? Well, for one, my team had a lot of special attacking initially, so I wanted a physical mon. And one of the new Pokemon that came out was Weirdeer, who has Intimidate, which helps physically. Frisk doesn't really matter because in an actual tournament, you see your opponent's Pokemon. Sap Zipper, maybe later, depending on what the meta is looking like, but I do think Intimidate's just nice altogether. Weirdeer may not have like the biggest stats in the world, but 103 speed and 105 in attack and special attack makes it really strong offensively. And one thing you'll see right here is that it knows Mega Horn. So that's what got the gears turning. Intimidate gives physical defense, and then, you know, it's just a nice typing, and I can just run a little bit of special defense, maybe a little bit of HP. And I ended up running like a mostly max HP, max attack Weirdeer that was minus special attack, so that was I could have a little bit of speed. And what I did with Weird Air was, it was in a very interesting mon, because when you look at its typing, like it resists Psychic, immune to Ghost, it's only hit super effectively by, well, Bug and Dark. Once again, I just said Bug types don't really exist in the meta, so all I had to worry about was Dark types. Now, Bug moves like Megahorn hit Dark types super effectively. And because the only other thing that hits Psychic super effectively is Ghost and Weird Air is normal Psychic, it's in a really nice position where it can take hits, like with decent bulk, it can take any neutral hit really well and do what it wants to. And if it baits 2 attacks, then so what? My other Pokemon gets to do anything freely. So what I end up doing is, for physical moves, Weird Air really only has Psychic, Normal, and Ground. Ground being Bulldoze, Earthquake, and I didn't really like that because I could hit Flutter Mane. So I ended opting for Zen Headbutt for Psychic Stab. I didn't need normal stab, so I run Mega Horn. I grabbed Helping Hand to help boost Flutter Mane even further. And then Trick Room, because if I'm facing Tornadus, I could undo his Tailwind strat and set up Trick Room and reverse everything. And that was part of the huge thing. I could Murkrow Sunny Day, Weaken Urshifu, and then with Weird Air, I set up Trick Room, and then I just undo the offense and put it in my favor while nerfing Urshifu at the same time. That was my big strategy, alongside other things the team could do. But Weird Air in itself only had 2 attacks, and that was Zen Headbutt and Mega Horn. Psychic Bug is pretty good stab-wise, but the problem is Zen Headbutt and Mega Horn, they are inaccurate, as you can see. So I ended up running, I believe it was Wide Lens. I think Wide Lens is just raw 10%. I think Zoom Lens is the one where it's if you move second, but Wide Lens was huge because it's 10%. Then Headbutt's 99, Mega Horn's 93.5. Really nice. I always hit my Mega Horns. Best thing about Mega Horn is when I tear it Bug, dude, I 2-hit Cresselia. I don't know what to tell you. That's amazing. Being able to 2-hit that bulky monster is insane, especially when it's really defensive. There are times where I'm almost tempted to let them Trick Room. Also, as Terra Bug, I'm resistant to the ground type attacks from Ursaluna. Yeah, maybe I have to worry about Facade, but there's other things that are stopping, Ursaluna from going down. I'm running a Moongus with Spore for Cresselia to stop it. I'm running Rage Powder, which redirects attacks. There's a lot of things I got for countering that, especially since I can always Zen Headbutt Ursaluna and it just flinches, and that has happened multiple times. Even though it's only a 20% chance, it still has happened, and I'm happy for it. But all in all, Terra Bug Weird Air has worked, and it was a good Terra, and sometimes spending my Terra on that is great. Sure, Bug makes me weak to a lot of things like fire types, and more importantly, you don't really want to Terra in front of Tornadus because then you'll just be taking that Bleak Wind Storm. So I went through the list of Steel Mask Pokemon, including ones from the leak. Don't rat me out. Okay, it's 2 days till the game comes out. 2 days. Listen. For bug types that are coming out, there's some interesting ones. Leavanny's coming back. That was a sticky web user. Ariados comes back. Remember Gen 4 Ubers? Haha, Gen 4 Ubers, Ariados. Yeah, we don't care about that. The only ones that really mattered to me, first was Vikavolt. Vikavolt, it's neat. I never really bothered with it. It's got Levitate. It's immune to ground. What's it weak to? Fire, rock. And that's really it. Like, pure electric bug is pretty neat. I thought, oh, this thing must be fast, right? No. This thing has thunderous Therian levels of special attack with 43 speed. Trick Room is gonna love this thing. The other thing is, like, this pairs so well with Ursaluna, who we're gonna get another form of, that you can just spam Discharge. It's so dumb. You can just spam Discharge. Who cares about Ursaluna? This is a great mon to have in the back of Trick Room. Grass Electric hits a lot of things great, because Electric can't hit, grass. It can't hit ground, but you don't really fear ground because it levitates, so who cares? It's just a really nice typing. And I think that this could be one that could utilize, maybe it can utilize some more bug stab. I don't know. This thing gets Flash Cannon. I'm just learning about this, okay? Flash Cannon, that's crazy. Air Slash, that's funny. That can make people upset. There's a lot going on here. Solar Beam, if you're running that Sun. Bug Buzz is just excellent. It's a really neat looking Pokemon. This is one that you'll have to look out on Trick Room team, because Bug and Electric are some things you don't really see on Trick Room. So next up is Yanmega. This is its BDSP version, so it's not going to look like this. BDSP is like, we're trying to be as faithful to original as possible, so we're not going to give it any fancy moves, exception of fairy types. And Arceus, I'm not going into details because, you know what, I don't need to speculate. We'll know in 2 days. Big thing about Yanmega is its abilities, Speed Boost and Tinted Lens. These are really great abilities. As I said before, Tinted Lens is really great for hitting everything for neutral damage, unless it quad resists its typing, which isn't very common. And Speed Boost has the potential to really gift out of hand. We've seen with Espathra, but obviously this isn't a psychic type. This is a bug and flying. Not an uncommon type, but terrestrialization definitely changes things up. Looking at its stats, I can tell you that 116 special attack is huge. It is pretty interesting, and 95 with +1 speed could make the difference. Honestly, it could run Scarf, Tinted Lens, and just do whatever it wants to. I don't feel like physical is the best way, though it has a lot of physical options. It's got Psychic, Shadow Ball. Look at these moves. It could be Terra Grass with Giga Drain. Bug also hits Grass, which is going to be common after Rillaboom goes crazy. Ancient Power, you can go Terra Rock and stab off that. In terms of other ones, yeah, I'm not seeing that much here. But who knows what it might be given. There's some new moves out there. Might be given different egg moves. Maybe some of these transfer-only moves will come back. They're not confirmed. But nevertheless, I do think this is going to be a funny Pokemon. Maybe it will be UU. Maybe it will be RU. But I'm definitely glad that this is coming back. So in the end, that's really it. All of these Pokemon out here are just not facing a good meta because, for one, no one wants to bring them, right? No one's seeing like Bug as a big thing. But I can say I do think in the future we're going to see some more Bug. Definitely Terra Bug is going to be interesting. Big thing I think about is if I go back here at the type chart, where we can see what Bug does well. Bug hits Grass, it hits Flying, it hits... That's not it. My bad. It hits Grass, it hits Psychic, it hits Dark, which are like key types to hit. And defensively, it gets not there. It gets hit by Fire, by Flying, and by Rock. There's definitely ways you can flip matchups, especially like Bug Flying is weak to Rock. So if you turn into a Water type, everything changes. Tinted Lens is great. You can be Fairy and you can use, whatever. We have to figure out what it gets. I can go click Legends Arceus. Do you see anything here you find interesting? I thought Silver Wind was taken away. Ominous Wind. Ooh, spooky. There's nothing that much going on. But nevertheless, I still wanna experiment. And that's about it. Who knows what the legendaries are up to? Who knows what everyone else is plotting with when the DLC drops? We won't get a Regulation E until at least October, so we'll have plenty of time to experiment.